So my name is Tony Nakashima. I work for the university. I'm in. Scratch. My name is Tony Nakashima. I'm an assistant women's basketball coach at Northern State University. This is my first year at Northern State University, but overall it's my seventh year coaching. You have to get a degree. It doesn't have to be in elementary education or anything like that. It just has to be a degree. For myself, I have a BBA in marketing, and with that, you just have to have a degree in order to coach. And I know personally a person who was trying to get into coaching and he didn't have a degree, and they just couldn't hire him because you just have to have a degree. I don't know why, but it's all in all the applications you have to have. That's the basic requirement is a 4 year degree. So it just depends on if we're in season or out of season. But I'll speak as of right now because we are in season, and so basically, when we get in the office with the other coaching staff, we'll meet and talk about practice planning because we'll have practice later on in the day, and then we'll just talk about other things that we want to accomplish during the week. Another thing that we'll do is for our upcoming opponent, we'll break down film. And then when we meet, we'll talk about, okay, what is this team? What are they really good at offensively? What are they really good at defensively? Who's their best player? So, and then that's part of the day too. After we're done meeting, I'll go and break down more film. And then later on, we'll have practice. In practice, we're just instructing, teaching different techniques. I do a lot of shooting drills, so we'll do that, and then after practice, we'll meet again, talk about how practice went, what we could do to get better, what we need to work on more, and then later on to the week, we have games. So that's the basic general day to day. Um, so not really, because we have 16 players, so we have enough that we don't need me to jump in. But I think it was my second year or my first and second year, the programs that I was a part of, I did jump in, which was fun. But unfortunately, right now I can't. That is not how I tore my Achilles this time. It was playing noon ball with other coaches. But yes, I do hear of my other coaching friends that they sometimes will get in and play, if they're needed. So it started out, I played basketball my whole life. I have a passion for basketball. I love it. Um, but also I love people. I love helping others, and that's what coaching is about. We're coaches are in the business of helping others, and you put those two together, and that's what a coach is. We help student athletes become better people. I truly believe that sports is a great tool to teach discipline, to build character, and as coaches, that's what we get to do with our student athletes. So put those two together. I love interacting with people, building relationships, and then also being able to coach basketball. That's put those together, and it's great. I was my first year. I was actually teaching at my old high school, and the another college was using our turf field, and so there's a lot of interaction with our vice principal and their athletic director. And when I decided I wanted to get into coaching, they contacted the women's basketball coach, and so I was able to help volunteer um, my first year there. And then after getting that 1 year of experience, I was able to get another job and fully become an assistant coach. And that's when I went to Bethany College in Kansas. So it's all about, helping. Someone helped me get there, and then after my first year of experience, that's the rest is history. Then just building upon experience helps me, get another coaching job. Yeah, so I started out as an assistant coach at Warner Pacific College, which is in Portland, Oregon. And then I got a new job at Bethany College, which is in Lindsborg, Kansas. I was there for 1 year, and then I got another job at the University of Montana Western in Dillon, Montana. And then after that, um, I got a job at the University of Kentucky as the coaching video coordinator. And then I wanted to get back into coaching, which led me to Northern State University back as an assistant coach. A video coordinator is I would, you're part of the coaching staff. You record practice and you break down a lot of film. I helped out with the scouting reports. I assist with the other coaches with breaking down film, and if they need a special segment from that practice, they would tell me, "Hey, can you pull this from um, what Chastity Patterson, what she did in practice? Can you get some clips, or in a game, can you pull these clips because they're gonna go over it with the player?" So just you kind of break down a lot of film. You don't get to coach due to NCAA regulations. You can't actually coach, and which was that part was really hard for me, not being able to coach. And you can't even do any skill development workouts or anything like that. But it's mainly just gathering all the film, whether it's on somebody else's team or on our team, and then just making edits for the assistant coaches or for the head coach. One essential characteristic is communication skills. The way you teach, the way you just interact, the way you speak, and the way you listen. I think that's very important because you're interacting daily and teaching and communicating and having to listen and take feedback from other coaches or from your players. So communication skills are, I would say, is very, very essential. I don't know if it's the most, but it's the one that I can say it's up there. Yeah, we work with a lot of people. Obviously our team, the other coaches, but also parents, especially in the recruiting process, or other family members. We with fans, the general public, other professors, other administrators that work for the university. So we work with a lot of people, and then even just with other coaches in general, trying to schedule games. Uh, Other coaches that you may not know, or other coaches that you do know. So you're interacting with just a lot of people. It all depends on the university and the college. Division I, NCAA Division I coaches, they do make good money, and even down to the NAIA level, you can make some decent money. Um, but I think a lot of coaches can attest that we're not in it for the money. Um, we do what we love, and that kind of just is the big equalizer. So yeah, it just all depends on the university or the college. And but again, coaches, we're not doing it for the money. At the Division I level, NCAA Division I, you can make good money in the range of six figures. And it depends on your experience. Some smaller schools, like as in the NAI level, if you're an assistant, you're probably not making a ton of money. So every university and every college is different on their budget, and so I, as an assistant, that's kind of the sacrifice that you have to make at times, or to start out. If you want to start out coaching, you may have to take a low paying job. And then as you get experience, and you show them your hard work, and, build great connections, then, hopefully your next job, you can get paid more. But I mean, my first year I was a volunteer, so I got paid zero, but I had another job on the side, so that helped. But yeah, I don't know what the low is. It just depends on the university or college. I do know that people think that coaching is very easy, and they'll joke around like, "Oh, I should have gotten into coaching," but it's not as easy as people realize. It's a lot of hours, a lot of hard work. Um, a lot of things are out of your control at times too, and so and there's a lot of sacrifices that people make, that coaches make, whether that's family or their time. For me, it's been being away from my family. I'm originally from the West Coast, and so what I've sacrificed is, I've kind of just been open to moving wherever. I don't have a family of my own, as in kids and a wife. So that's the sacrifice that I've been making. And it gets hard at times because you move to a new state where you don't really know anyone. But then the upside to that is that your team becomes your family. The other coaching staff, that's kind of your family where you move to. But it's hard, being away from like close friends and family on the West Coast. Just the connections that you make. I've gotten to know so many people across the U.S. and even some international. I remember one time working at Washington State University's elite basketball camp. There was two coaches from Spain that I got to meet, and we do keep in touch once in a while. So basketball has allowed me to meet and make friends with people all over. I have friends that live in Florida. I have friends that live in Oregon, and then in Kansas. So all over. You just make friends and you build relationships, and that's to me like one of the most beneficial. And then also building friendships and relationships with your players. When I was at the University of Montana Western for 3 years, we had three three of my former players all had weddings, and I got invited to the weddings, and that meant a lot to me. Um, so just building, even when former players, after you're done coaching them, keeping in touch with them, you're still, it's a lasting relationship. So that to me is the beneficial. And then the icing on the cake is just, it's basketball. Where I love basketball, I watch it, and that's just the icing. I remember when I was first starting out, what as a new coach, one of the most frustrating things was when in a game, when you're trying to tell the player to do something, and they, in the middle of the game, in the heat of the game, they can't get it right. Well, as a player, you can go in there and fix it, but as a coach, you can't go into the game yourself and do it, if that makes sense. Like, if we're not running the right, if we're not running the right play or something like that, I can't physically go in the game and do it myself. So that was frustrating early on in my career. But another thing that's just my least favorite is watching injuries happen, um, not only to my team, but to when I just see an injury. It's heartbreaking and it's devastating. I had at the University of Montana Western, we had a player who tore her ACL. And speaking from experience, I tore both of my Achilles tendon. So knowing what you go through with the recovery process and everything, mentally and physically, that is one thing that is hard, coaching wise. To you have to deal with, and even just seeing it in general. You see that you don't want even the other team, you don't want their best player to even get injured. I mean, it's just, yeah, I know it's part of the game, but it's just brutal and it's just heartbreaking. I wish that I knew I wanted to coach earlier. So, as I said earlier, that I have my degree in marketing, and I had some marketing jobs right right after I graduated college, and so I wish I would. I just wish I would have gotten into my coaching career sooner. Rather than I think it was 4 years after graduating, then I switched over my career into coaching basketball. But you know, obviously you can't change the past, but those other jobs, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about myself. And, I do say that maybe with those jobs, I never would have maybe gotten a coaching because that kind of led me into coaching where I didn't like what I was doing early on. And it made me reevaluate my career, which, what do you say, which brought me to coaching. So, um, yeah, the only thing I can say is I just wish I would have known that I would have gotten coaching earlier. Yeah, I would say because I was an inside sales representative where I had to do some cold calling. And as a coach, you have to kind of cold call sometimes when you're recruiting. And making a sales pitch. Coaches are salesmen. As you got to recruit and you got to sell the university and the program. So that helped. When I was working in Hollywood for a talent agency, I dealt with a lot of personalities, and so as a coach, you're dealing with a lot of personalities with players and coaches. So I would definitely say that though my previous jobs, I've learned a lot, and it has carried over to help me coaching. When I was at the University of Montana Western, there was always this summer tournament in Portland, Oregon, which where I'm from. So my head coach would send me there so I could watch the games there. So yeah, traveling for recruiting, traveling and playing games. So here at Northern State in South Dakota, we have teams in our conference. A lot of teams are in Minnesota. We have teams in our conference that are in Iowa and Nebraska. But with this whole season due to COVID, um, our schedule is a little different this year. But if it was a normal year, we go to Iowa, Nebraska, North Dakota, and Minnesota. But in the past, when I was coaching at University of Montana Western, we took a trip to California and played two teams in California. So yeah, you get to travel a lot, which I enjoy. And because I know a lot of people in different states too, so it's especially great when we can go to another state where I know someone and I can, hopefully my friend they can come and watch a game. So yeah, we get to travel a lot. Oh, and then when I was at the University of Kentucky, obviously we traveled to Alabama, to Tennessee, South Carolina, being in the SEC conference. So we definitely, when you're in the NCAA Division I, you travel a lot more. There's not a ton of equipment, but obviously like a computer. There's different programs that we use. One of them is called Synergy, and that's where you can get other film on other teams. So when we were supposed to play a school called Bemidji State this weekend, and so to get their film, we would go to this program or this website, and we can pull up all their games from last year and all their games from this year, and then that's how we can gather film. And then you use other programs, as in to draw plays, draw the other team's play, or to draw our plays to teach our players the plays. And for like scouting reports, that's another program. But other than that, obviously a basketball and hoops, but also we have this thing called a shooting gun, which um, our players use. So when they don't have a rebounder, somebody there, they go in the gym by themselves and they shoot, and then they have basketballs that pass it out to you, so you don't have to go chasing your own rebound. But that's another equipment, I guess. Um, that's basically that's about it that I can think of. A lot of my coaching friends, they have families, so it is very doable. But it does take up a lot of your time. I've been a part of program, or I've logged hours about 15 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it does take up a lot of your time, but it is very important to balance. You do need some downtime to yourself, which is important. I always believe in having a balanced life, and um, but with families, yeah, it's very doable. I think for me, not having a family, that has helped in me moving so much. But it does take up a lot of time that I don't think that people really realize, especially if you're out recruiting, traveling, because those are hours that you're technically working, watching a lot of basketball games, going to a lot of high school games or junior college games, which is again a lot of time. Um, but but yeah, it's very doable to have a balanced life. You just got to experience it. Um, as for me, it took other jobs to realize what I really wanted to do. But other than that, I think you just gotta dive into it, experience it for yourself. And even if it ends up not being what you thought it was going to be or wanted it to be, at least hopefully you can learn from that situation and apply it to your next situation. So even though something didn't work out, try to figure out why it didn't, and how you can learn from it and move on. But again, I would just say just to experience it yourself. I think that's one of the best learning tools that you can have. At the NCAA Division I level, you have a director of operations, which you're part of the coaching staff and part of the program, but you're booking meals, booking hotels, booking travel arrangements. So you do all the administrative work, and that's again called a director of operations. You have a video coordinator, again, where you are filming practice, and then you're breaking down film. So you're not actually a coach. You can be a marketing person for that team. So at the University of Kentucky, we had a marketing specialist. Um, so yeah, there are other jobs that if you don't want to coach but still want to be around a program, um, that there are other opportunities for that. And if you're in college, you can volunteer. You can be a manager as well. And almost every program will have a manager, and they are very essential. Managers that I've had, they've been a lot of help, and they are very important. I would say find what you're passionate about, and if you're passionate about something, and it's your job, then that just makes life a lot easier. I'm very blessed to do what I love, and even though I work a lot of hours, it does not feel like a job because I love what I do. But find out what you're passionate about, and um, just try to. That's a good starting point. Another thing that I would say is the old saying is it's all about who you know, but I I've heard this somewhere and I truly believe it, that it's not who you know, but it's who knows you. And what I mean by that is for people, I've had a lot of help in my career, and it's because of people. So as long as you do your work, make right connections, build those right relationships, and they can help you move forward. So it's not who you know, but it's who knows you. It's really important that not only that you love what you do, but the people that you work with, that you enjoy being around them. I've been fortunate enough to that every boss that I've had have been great people, but I have heard of other assistant coaches where they don't get along with their head coach or with the other coaching staff, and that will make it hard. So just you know, finding the right fit is also important when coaching, but that would be further down the line. When you start, you kind of gotta put in your time and pay your dues, basically. Um, but then as you move forward, then you can, it's very important to find that right fit for you.